Micro, small and medium-sized enterprises are expected to benefit from a US $50 million loan. The power company talks about its close to $1 billion in investments. A new 18,000-barrel capacity rum bond officially opened. And in sports, Wanderers and Wildy are the only teams left in the race for the BCA Elite title.
Broadcasting from our studios in the Pine St. Michael, this is CBC NewsNight, starting now.
Good evening, I'm Pearson Bowen. More micro, small and medium-sized enterprises are expected to benefit from the third loan agreement for the Enhanced Credit Guarantee Fund. Barbados is currently negotiating with the Inter-American Development Bank for the new US $50 million loan. Central Bank Governor Dr. Kevin Greenidge says the bank is actively involved, helping the government to discuss the third round of funding. He was speaking during a roundtable discussion on the impact of the fund held at the Central Bank.
It will help expand a focus on export readiness for these small businesses. It will help with diversification, something that a lot of persons keep mentioning. And it will also help with food security, climate adaptation spending. And its focus also is to get an increased participation of female-owned businesses and those with disabilities into the productive sectors. It also have an element of leveraging technical assistance to order to support those businesses as they progress.
President of the IDB, Ilan Goldfan, says micro, small and medium-sized businesses need financing assistance because of their size. He adds that the IDB's support for the island is multifaceted.
Our view for the country is, in one hand, to talk about resilience, both social and climate, but also to be able to foster productivity growth, innovation. In the case of this third stage, financial inclusion, we talk about export, very important. We talk about food security. And of course, we have our cross-cutting issues like, can we enhance female participation, people with disabilities?
Well, the first loan was undertaken in 2015 in the amount of US $35 million. The second tranche was done during the COVID-19 pandemic for $30 million, and both loans have been fully disbursed. Now, the Enhanced Credit Guarantee Fund provides 80% of the total loan amount needed, up to $1 million for a maximum repayment period of 10 years. Some of the successful applicants have been providing feedback. Rachel Agard has more.
Dr. Kimberly Strawn of Studio Dental says, as a female entrepreneur, the Enhanced Credit Guarantee Fund allowed her to build out her dream. Already, she has been able to purchase her own practice, establish a new lab, and is on the cusp of buying another practice after engaging a second time through the fund.
We have just this year, through Signia's help as well, to acquired the original practice that I was an associate at 5 years ago. We've acquired a dental lab, which is... Yes. We've acquired a dental lab which is fully modernized and digitized, which is something completely new in Barbados that hasn't been done before. Typically, all dental prostheses that were made overseas. We're able to do that with 3D printing technology and CAD/CAM technology here as well too. So we service other offices. We service our neighbors in Trinidad and in Grenada as well too with that lab. And we are actually undergoing another round of financing to open a third practice location.
Meanwhile, dairy farmer Paul Davis says while he was able to access the fund, he has not been getting enough return on investment through his 140 kilowatt system. He says there are some shortcomings to the renewable energy sector in Barbados and makes some recommendations to the panel.
Having had it connected since November last year, at the end of October this year, I had zero. So it seems that every month I was able to meet my commitments only. So I would recommend probably an extension of the term, because we are limited to 10 years on the loan, whereas the license that you're have a contract with Light and Power is for 20 years or so.
Mr. Davis adds he submitted a proposal in August for a biomass project, for which officials have requested an environmental impact assessment.
So we've gone back now to challenge their requirement, and instead we're going to ask for an environmental scope and study. So one of the questions that I have is there a limit on the loan amount for a project like ours? Because our project, we've been working on, as Ed says, for a long time, like 10 years now. And it really is a pilot project designed to operate for 3 years to gather enough data to then decide whether or not we proceed with a crop for energy.
Small, micro, and medium-sized enterprises are encouraged to access the fund. Rachel Agard, CBC News.
The Barbados Light and Power has injected millions of dollars on its infrastructure over the past decade. Management of the utility company says the money was spent since the last fixed rate increase 14 years ago. Anesta Henry has the story.
The Barbados Light and Power Company Limited has invested close to $1 billion in its operations since the last fixed rate increase in 2010. According to Managing Director Roger Blackman, the significant sum of money was spent on solar batteries, smart meters, information systems, and regular plant and equipment maintenance. He was speaking at the BLMP's premiere of its documentary, Lights Up, It's Our Story.
We do have an interim rate, but we're going through a process now. So it is significant investments that have been made, not just in increasing or enhancing the infrastructure that we have today, but maintaining what exists. Climate change, you mentioned, is a real thing. I mean, we can see it happening around us year on year, and the frequency and intensity of storms and so on. So it is a real issue. The challenge for us and countries around the world is how do we find the right balance?
Mr. Blackman adds that while there is much focus on reducing greenhouse gases, the alternatives to fossil fuel are more expensive.
And so what we are striving to do, not just as a utility, as an island, and countries around the world are dealing with this very issue, is finding the right balance and the right pace to introduce the transition in a way that it remains affordable for customers, but still achieves the environmental goals that we are and countries around the world are trying to achieve, as well as keeping the lights on.
The managing director says restoring electricity to customers in the event of a power outage due to unfavorable weather systems remains one of the company's priorities. Anesta Henry, CBC News.
Well, as Anesta just shared, Barbadians will be getting an opportunity to see behind the scenes of the Barbados Light and Power Company Limited. The utility company, established in 1911, is sharing its story through a 5-episode video series. Addressing the premiere of Lights Up, It's Our Story documentary, Managing Director Roger Blackman says the company wants to show the public its past, present, and future.
It is a genuine outreach. You're often in the press, and particularly this year, as a result of all of the activity around pass rate applications and so on, and the transition that's taken place in the sector to renewable energy and the investments that need to be made. And so there's lots of communication and information around that. Often what goes missed is what goes behind the scenes to make things happen. And the effort here behind the docuseries is to be able to share, to unveil or pull back the curtain a bit and allow our customers and Barbadians to see what actually happens behind the scenes.
Well, the first episode of the documentary will be telecast here on CBC TV at 6:30 p.m. on Boxing Day, December 26th. Barbadian consumers will pay less for gas, diesel, and kerosene from midnight tonight. Gasoline will now cost $3.88 a litre, a decrease of 34 cents, while diesel will go down by 15 cents and be sold at $3.47 a litre. Kerosene will cost $1.26 per litre, a reduction of 74 cents. The Ministry of Energy and Business has advised that going forward, the consuming public can expect to benefit from the continuation of government's policy, which mandates that retail prices should be reflective of those on the international market. To this end, government intends to continue the protection for the consumers such that should international prices rise, the cap on prices which government has held will be implemented. The prices of gasoline, diesel and kerosene were last adjusted on September the 13th, 2023. They were gasoline $4.22 a litre, diesel $3.47 a litre and kerosene $2 a litre. Well, since that time, the prices of those products have not been changed. We'll take a break here, but coming up, property owners encouraged to catch on camera those illegally occupying parking spaces for the disabled. Member of Parliament and disabilities advocate Edmund Hinkson is calling on property owners to install cameras on their premises to capture those illegally parking in car park spaces reserved for people with disabilities. The senior counsel is making the call on the heels of an amendment to the Road Traffic Act being laid in Parliament on Tuesday this week to increase the fine for illegally parking in spaces allocated for those in the disabilities community,
so that, we can have implementation of this noble provision. These property owners, are both in the private sector and in the public sector and really need to install cameras so that the amendment to this bill, to this legislation rather, will be given teeth.
Mr. Hinkson says in addition to this development, Cabinet approved the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Bill on Thursday. He adds the bill is expected to be laid in Parliament by Minister of People Empowerment and Elder Affairs Kirk Humphrey next Tuesday.
We look forward to the debate on the passing of the Rights of Persons with Disabilities Bill early next year, so that for the first time in the history of Barbados, persons with disabilities and indeed their caretakers would have statutory powers which they could enforce before a tribunal, indeed before the courts.
It is time for the region to turn its challenges into a story of growth and opportunity. And according to Minister in the Ministry of Economic Affairs and Investment, Senator Chad Blackman, the answer is to use partnerships and pool procurement as a springboard going forward. He was speaking at the closing ceremony of the Caribbean Development Dynamics 2025.
A coordinated approach is going to be needed with a fine-tooth comb so that you can ensure that there's cohesion of strategy so as to ensure clear impact. We have to now pivot and use our intellectual capacity and become the world's hub for solutions. And whilst that's Barbados' vision, to be a global hub for solutions and ideas, looking across the landscape, whether it's in climate, non-communicable diseases, and therefore turning global challenges into opportunities. This report, and I want to encourage other regional governments to look at the report and to use it as a basis for contemplation of a regional strategy for a Caribbean skills economy.
Minister Blackman lauds the institutional support and international partnerships, but he says homegrown solutions are now required while holding ourselves to account. He suggests a mechanism be put in place to monitor the impacts of all the initiatives being undertaken.
Who better to understand the region's needs than the region itself? Now, of course, there are systems that have to be worked out with our development partners, but there are innovative ways of doing things. Look at the recent debt swap. A homegrown solution, working with our international partners, is a testament that the Caribbean has the intellectual muscle to do these things on a global scale.
With the Yuletide season fast approaching, there's been a timely reminder for the importance of sharing. It comes from physical education teacher at the Wesley Hall Junior School, Rodney Legall. He was speaking as the school presented a number of hampers to BIM Got Talent. That initiative, which gives young people a platform to express themselves, is currently engaged in a food drive.
So they have a food drive where they're collecting food items to help young people in Barbados, right? And we take for granted what we have. There's some people that do not have. And I remember when I was your age, when I was a boy, the whole motto was giving. And we need to get back to that stage as a society where we look out for each other, where we are giving, and we are not looking for anything in return.
Coordinator of BIM Got Talent, Kevin Sluggydan Watson, expressed thanks as he notes the donation will help families in need and at-risk youth.
We use the arts as our vehicle to drum up attention. I use the advantage I have to be on radio regularly. We have an online platform that he said BIM Got Talent. We generate over 1 million views every month, showcasing Barbadian talent, Barbadian art, and the youth, and nothing but positive vibes. And it's something that I am extremely proud of, is that we made it our mandate to show no slackness, no lewdness, no cursing, no bad behavior, only positive vibes, and still generate over 1 million views. So I just want to say the young people of Barbados are amazing and awesome and more than willing to do the right thing.
A new flamingo exhibit has been opened at the Paradise Nature Park at Balls, Christchurch. Minister of the Environment and National Beautification and the Green and Blue Economy, Adrian Ford, cut the ribbon at the event at the park, which is home to a cross-section of exotic birds and animals.
Before cutting the ribbon to declare the flamingo exhibit open, the minister said the opening and the development of the nature park is a representation of the partnerships that exists between government and the private sector and the efforts to improve biodiversity.
We must be able to partner with persons, whether they are NGOs, private entities, other government agencies, in order to improve and realize our biodiversity as a means of resisting the existential threats that we are faced with. 1, climate change, 2, biodiversity loss, and 3, pollution, which is wreaking havoc amongst all countries in the world. I want to say that the only way we will fight these existential threats, I call them the 3 horsemen of the apocalypse, because they will destroy the world as we know it.
The Paradise Nature Park was opened last year, and manager Mitch Hurd said the facility displays exotic animals in a botanical garden setting and gave some background on the development of the exhibit. He said it is not for visitors alone, but for all Barbadians.
So we've got 7 flamingos. Caribbean flamingos are actually one of 6 different species of flamingos found around the world. And the 4 live or come from America and South America, whereas 2 are from Africa. And probably the brightest coloured of them all is the one you'll see here, which is the Caribbean flamingo. Fascinating birds. They feed by filtering the water, eating things like shrimp and diatoms and algae, which is actually what gives them their characteristic bright pink appearance.
The nature official said flamingos live long in captivity and nothing has been left to chance with regards to the exhibit.
We feed them on a specially prepared diet, and that diet has everything it needs, and we normally put it underwater so they can literally filter the food out themselves. And that contains those same algae and shrimp based products which provide them with all the nutrition they need and helps them develop that beautiful pink color.
The park is open from Fridays to Sundays and is accessible to the physically challenged. Trevor Thorpe, CBC News.
One of the longest-standing churches in Barbados is celebrating its 100th anniversary. The Maxwell Wesleyan Holiness Church recently held a special service and awards ceremony at the Savannah Hotel. Akeem Klinkett reports.
Maxwell Wesleyan Holiness Church has been a cornerstone of the community since December 15, 1924. A century later, not only does the structure stand strong, but the congregation remains vibrant, including many descendants of the church's founding members. To commemorate this occasion, a special celebration was held at the Savannah Hotel, featuring worship and an award ceremony. Senior pastor Reverend Mitchie Nurse states the theme of the celebration is a glorious legacy and a great future. He says it reflects both the rich history of the church's forefathers and a hopeful outlook for what lies ahead.
We are here not only looking at the present, but we are also appreciative of those persons who would have gone before us, the many ministers, the many lay persons who would have established this church to give us what we have today. And we look forward with eagerness to a great future as we position ourselves to impact not only our community, but to impact Barbados as a whole.
Long-standing member Shelley Ben says the church has always welcomed everyone in the community.
I think being a part of the community is something that we desperately need to continue. You know, kids are not coming to church as they used to. Parents are not bringing their kids to church or even sending their kids to church. So finding ways to really interact with the kids, because, you know, children are our future.
Meanwhile, third-generation member Carrie Allen now brings her children to the congregation. She says she learned many important principles at the church.
I would want persons to understand that there is still a need for church, there's still a need for God. And yes, there are persons who don't have that foundation, and it is our duty then to help those who come in from the community who don't have that in their personal homes, to help them to understand that they're loved, that God loves them, and we love them.
The church will continue its celebrations throughout the week, with one of the planned activities being a T20 cricket invitational game. Akeem Plinkett, CBC News.
And the big man with Sports Night tonight is Damien Best. Damien, good evening.
Yeah, good evening to you, Pearson. Good evening to all viewers and listeners. We're going to start with this one. It will be either Wanderers or Wildy to take this year's BCA Elite Division 3-day title as the season goes into the 9th and final series tomorrow. Wanderers have a 15-point lead on Wildy, but with batting and bowling points up for grabs, it's not a done deal as yet. Wanderers are away to ESA Field Pickwick at 4 Square Oval, while Wildy are at home against Signia Globe Financial BCA Youth at the SJPI ground. The BCA's Manager of Marketing and Communications, Stephen Leslie, says there's more to the final series than the title race, as there are also several teams facing relegation.
The Wanderers Club, the oldest club in Barbados, has the opportunity to capture their first major title in 3-day cricket for many years. The other team in Wildy are in second place, who have the realistic chance of overtaking Wanderers, so that will be a very keen battle. Interestingly enough, there are about 7 clubs, UB, Empire, Gladiola, Spartan, Pickwick, Yorkshire and YMPC, who, based on this final series, can be demoted based on how they accumulate points. So a very interesting battle at the bottom of the table, where from those teams, only UB, Empire and Spartan have never been demoted, but they are always a first, and we hope to see very keen battles coming up over the next 3 days. The first division championship has been already captured by the Windward Club, so they will be promoted into the Elite Division for 2025. But the battle is on. Will it be Wanderers or Wildy to capture the 3-day championship for the Elite? And which of those teams, UWI, Empire, Gladiola, Spartan, Pickwick, Yorkshire or YMPC, will be able to retain and avoid relegation?
For the rest of the fixtures for the final series, which is scheduled for December 14th, 15th and 21st, sees Fusion Boutique Spartan against Bayview Hospital YMPC at Queen's Park, Empire versus IGS Insurance Brokers Yorkshire at Bank Hall, and UWI against Superb Blend Guardiola at 3Ws Oval. Play starts at 12:30 p.m. Well, the West Indies will quickly switch focus to the shortest format of the game when they take on Bangladesh on Sunday in the first of a 3-match T20 series in St. Vincent. Currently ranked number 4 in the world in T20s, the Windies will go into the fixtures as favourites. Now the 15-member squad announced to face Bangladesh is missing experienced duo Shea Hope and Shafeen Rutherford. The pair will be headed to Australia to play in the Big Bash League, leaving a void for Darren Sammy and the captain to fill. Casey Carty comes into the picture and definitely deserves his first T20 international call-up following a score of 95 in the third and final ODI against the Bangladesh side in St. Kitts. Overall, the West Indies should do well. And that is the first half in sports. Pearson is back over to you. I'll come back later on.
Thank you, Damien. This business report is next. In business tonight, the rum industry is important to Barbados. Minister of Energy and Business, Senator Lisa Cummins, made the revelation at commissioning of the 5th aging bond at Mount Gay Distilleries in St. Lucie today. In a wide-ranging speech, she told a cross-section of the industry stakeholders that work is progressing with Business Barbados aimed at bringing some long-overdue important initiatives to fruition for the rum industry. Trevor Thorpe was there.
Before unveiling a plaque to mark the occasion, Minister Cummins says government is committed to putting in place a geophysical indication for Barbados rum. That would allow the product to carry a special sign that speaks to their quality, origin and reputation. She adds that with a new intellectual agency within the recently established Business Barbados, government has been working with stakeholders to bring the initiative to fruition. While admitting there are hurdles to overcome, she says the matter is getting attention.
We have just announced the transitioning of CAIPO, which will be absorbed into Business Barbados, and in so doing, we have created within that a new fit-for-purpose, future-forward intellectual property agency that is meant to be equipped with the tools, the skills, the competencies, and most importantly, the close relationship with the World Intellectual Property Organization, who spent 2 weeks here with us to be able to build those capacities so that we can accomplish together with the rum industry, with the industrial sector, and with the IP professionals this long sought after geographical indication for Barbados's rum.
The minister says the event is not just an opening of an aging bond, but an indication of the ongoing development of Mount Gay Rum Distilleries and its partners.
Together with Mount Gay, producing rum on the one hand, innovating around the rum bond, establishing that global brand, and with the support of Remy Cointreau over the last several years, this has been the development of our rum industry. But you have innovated in the energy space as well, as I have just outlined with the Rum and Sargassum project and others as well.
Managing Director Antoine Corvier says the new bond is an investment in the future and intended to meet the rising demand for premium aged rum.
Today, the opening of Mount Gay's 5th aging bond is a milestone in this vision. It is, more than just a structure that is going to house barrels of rum. It is a time capsule. It is a resting home where some of our finest expressions will mature, where creativity will flourish, and where we will carefully nourish the future of Mount Gay for decades to come.
The bond, part of which is underground, has a capacity of 18,000 barrels. Trevor Thorpe for the Business Report.
Thanks, Trevor. Time now for tonight's trading report.
In Jamaica, Sagicor Select Funds Limited Manufacturing and Distribution with 8,531,688 units was the volume leader, followed by Wigton Energy Limited and Trans-Jamaican Highway Limited. In Trinidad and Tobago, NCB Financial Group Limited was the volume leader with 827,000 shares changing hands for a value of Trinidad and Tobago $1,968,200, followed by Massey Holdings Limited. And here in Barbados, no securities traded today on the regular market.
And that's tonight's business report. The weather is next. Well, we're marching into the weekend. Let's get a look at the forecast as we are joined this evening by Carrie-Ann O'Neill. Carrie-Ann, good evening.
Good evening to you, Pearson, and good evening, everyone. Well, a trough system is impacting the island. As a result, we had occasionally cloudy skies along with some showers. And we are expecting moderate to heavy showers later on tonight. The Met Office, they issued a flood watch for the island. Meanwhile, a confluent pattern maintained some isolated thunderstorms across the Guianas. The maximum temperature today was 30 degrees Celsius, the minimum 23 degrees. At present, the temperature stands at 25 degrees Celsius. The relative humidity 87%. The winds, they're coming in from the north. We take a look now at some atmospheric conditions across the region, where those warm temperatures are ranging from 23 to 28 degrees Celsius. The humidity shows moisture is building across a number of the islands. We do have that trough system impacting those islands, and the winds, they are generally light to moderate across the region. We take a look now at our satellite feed, where the trough system maintained occasionally cloudy skies along with showers. We had up to 30 millimeters of rainfall here in Barbados. Now the winds are peaking at 10 knots, those seas moderate in open water with swells peaking at 2 meters. Later on tonight, we are expecting partly cloudy skies along with overcast conditions from time to time, along with frequent moderate to heavy showers. The flood watch is in effect. Further south, a confluent pattern maintained some isolated thunderstorms across the Guianas. And over now in the Western Caribbean, occasionally cloudy skies along with passing showers prevailed across most of the islands. That's our first look at the weather. After the break, we'll have the forecast. Welcome back. In the forecast for tomorrow, the sun is expected to rise at 13 minutes after 6 and will set at 5:34. Now, the first high tide is expected at 16 minutes after 3 in the early morning, the first low at 16 minutes after 8 in the morning. The seas, moderate in open water with swells peaking at 2 meters. Those winds are coming in from the east to the east-southeast, and they're peaking at 30 kilometers per hour. For us here in Barbados tonight, we can expect partly cloudy to overcast skies along with frequent moderate to heavy showers. We are reminded that flood watch is in effect. Over the next 3 days, a mix of sunshine, clouds, and showers can be expected.
Let's get back to more sports. Damien.
Thanks so much, Pearson. Well, capped off by a clinical performance to win their first ever under-19 cricket title, Queen's College athletes were toasted by their school for extraordinary sporting performances to end 2024. Queen's College won the Dasani Power 8 Under-13 Barbados Secondary Schools Netball League title after defeating Christchurch Foundation in extra time. They kept the ball rolling by crushing Harrison College to take home the Cooperators General Insurance Schools Under-19 basketball crown. Then, in a superb display, the amazed QC cricket team rubber-stamped their dominance by defeating Nichols-Bacon-Combermere in the final of the 40-over cricket competition by 6 wickets.
This has been an exceptional year for our cricket program. As Rashawn would have stated, we won 2 major finals. First up, the BCA Plate, beating an adult team, North Stars, in the final. First QC team to ever do that in the history of cricket. Secondly, as he said, these gentlemen here did a fantastic job versus Combermere at the Oval. So give them another round of applause, please. Quickly, I would like to thank some people. Madam Chairman, Mrs. Holder, I appreciate it. Thank you for all the support. Principal, Vice Principal, and the staff, Head of Department, Mr. Brian Holder, did a lot of administrative work trying to get things done for us to get out there to play cricket.
And as you heard, acting head of the Physical Education Department is Brian Holder.
Started with winning the basketball one day. We went into competition the next day. We won. The netball happened first, and then the cricket. Man, we did jumping up for long, long times. I want to say to you that we shall carry the light. We are warriors, and that's the approach that we should take through sports and through all other aspects of life. We shall carry the light. We in the P department want to sit in our rocking chairs in a couple of years and see persons who have gone on to represent Barbados and the region in competitions. We want to sit and see the performances at Carifta Games and highlight our athletes in the various disciplines, including chess. And I've said chess specifically for one of my favorite students here. This is where we are. This is who we are. We are going to be leaders in sports, in all other aspects of life, because we shall carry the light.
Well, Maria Cumberbatch and Tyrese Holder are the champions of the 2024 Cancer Benefit Road Tennis Tournament. In the women's final, Cumberbatch defeated Shireen Ward, while Holder got the better of Sean Spencer. CBC's Anne-Mark Goodrich-Boyce reports.
Women's final up first. Shireen Ward closer to the screen, taking on Maria Cumberbatch. We pick up the action with Ward leading 15-10 in the first game. Make that 16-10. Kamabach with a return into the net. But Ward, perhaps due to having the advantage, got complacent, also finding the net on this occasion. The service change provided a platform for a wonderful turnaround for Kamabach. Intense rally before this, world-class return, unstoppable. Momentum had definitely shifted now, and Kamabach was in her groove. With the score at 19-all, she forced Ward into the error, and that set up the first game point. Kamabach went on to take the first game, 21-19. Ward going into the net again. To the second game we go, and Kamabach was already leading 10-5. Good road tennis all around before Ward gave up the point, down and looking out. And Kamabach was applying the pressure. Another marvelous shot. The end was near. Kamabach wrapped up the victory the very next play, defeating Ward 21-19, 21-13. To the men's final, Sean Spencer closer to the screen versus Tyrese Holder. Spencer trailing 11-4 at this stage and was a bit too eager, hitting this one long. Holder was in the ascendancy. Nice rally, and Holder capitalizing with this shot, closing in on the first game. Holder went on to win the game easily as Spencer smashed this one into the net, 21-10. The second game was a bit more competitive. Spencer clawing his way back into the contest. But Holder benefited from unforced errors from Spencer as he hit this one into the net. Spencer continued to fight, but Holder showed great consistency and accuracy with the shots. This one was just too hot to be answered. Holder was putting on a clinic now, and he was brimming with confidence with the prize in sight, winning this point by the slimmest of margins. What a shot. But Spencer was not going away. With some level of resistance, he got Holder to hit this one long as well. Nevertheless, Holder had match point here, and you could just tell he was on his way. Like a lion eyeing his prey, he ended the match with dominance, much to the appreciation of the fans, winning 21-10, 21-17. To the doubles open final, father and son duo of Abby and Azari Clark playing against Aaron Hippolyte and Paul Griffith. Closing stages, and the Clarks were large and in charge. It wasn't always one-way traffic though, as Griffith and Hippolyte benefited at times from the eagerness by the Clarks to finish off proceedings. But it was all over here. The Clarks going on to win 21-18, 21-17. Anmar Goodrich Boyce, CBC Sports.
Thanks, Anmar, and that's it for sports for tonight. Back over to you, Pearson.
Thank you, Damien. We're right back after this break.
The facts say Morning Barbados reaches an audience of over 50,000 and Newsnight reaches over 56,000. It's simple. When you advertise, you're getting your message to over 50,000 of your potential customers. Make the call to CBC Sales Department today and watch your business grow. Contact us at 467-5559 or email marketing@cbc.bb.
And that's our time tonight. Thank you for spending it with us. I'm Pearson Bowen. For the crew, to all of you, good night. Have a wonderful weekend.